Civil society organizations play a critical role in building democracies and holding the powerful to account, even fostering development, whether it's in the health sector, the education sector, good governance sector. The numbers tell it all because there's been impact of the work that they're doing. However, recently they have been hit hard by the reduction in funding as the global financing shifts elsewhere. The closure of DGF left many, literally, some of them closing. USID recently closed shop, and that hit hard, including yours truly, myself, and the organization that I work for, which is the African Institute for Investigative Journalism. This is a special edition of the Hard Questions show where I sit down with two prominent ladies that are on course to ensure that civil society survives amidst all the challenges. And today, I am privileged to be speaking with Dr. Joyce Tamale, who is the CEO of Capital Solutions. I also have the great honor to host someone I call a friend, the CEO of Civsos Africa, Jackie Asimwe. Ladies, I am honored to have you today.
We're honored to be here, Solomon.
I'm seated amidst greatness.
Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you. Ladies, it's so good to see you. You're looking amazing, but let's jump right into it. Civil society. I think, Jackie, let me start with you. There's a lot of great work that civil society is doing. It's undeniable. You know, in every sector there is. And I know I've had annoying people who have said, no, they're just enjoying money. But the impact of civil society is there, and it has been felt.
Absolutely.
However, recently, and in the most recent time, we've had the challenge of dropping in funding. The closure of USID, and you know what happened after that, ladies. Other donors decided also to reduce significantly on their funding, and it affected NGOs. Jackie, were you affected? Perhaps let me start there as Civsos Africa.
So I always say, Solomon, that even if you don't feel the pain personally, because I'm in the sector, as the song says, if my brother is in trouble, so am I. So maybe we haven't been hit personally as Civsos Africa, but because we serve with and serve together as civil society, you get pained. And in fact, recently, maybe about 2-3 months ago, we held a wellness retreat for leaders whose organizations have been impacted. And we did that because I've been there where you're almost pressed to the wall. It may not have been with Civsos, but in other journeys in civil society, I've been in organizations. I was on the board of FIDA a few years ago when we were having to close our upcountry stations. Why? Because of funding squeeze. I was at UONET when, or watching from the periphery, when it was also almost closing. Rita, of course, has done a great job to build it up and out. But yeah, like I said, you cannot be in this sector and not feel the pain of your brothers and sisters. And so we don't stand outside as though, it's you guys, you suffer alone. No. We feel the pain. We feel the anxiety. We feel the tough times. But that's why we solution together. And that's why precisely we're having this conversation today. Yeah. That yes, it's tough, but I know that, like you said, not only do we have impact, we also have great resilience. And we have wisdom and knowledge from people like Joyce and others that we've been able to assemble for our civil society colleagues to say there's also information out there that we can use to come out of this hole together.
Yeah. And Jackie, I want to appreciate you as Civsos Africa for supporting civil society organizations to stay afloat. I really appreciate you. And I must say that, Civsos Africa, through CIFund, has been supporting the African Institute for Investigative Journalism for the work that we do. I deeply appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Tamale, it's abrupt, right? Someone who has been supporting you. Imagine there's so many organizations that have been supported by USID, by DGF. Someone who has been keeping the lights on, paying salaries, and eventually you wake up and this money is gone. It can shock you. And you've gone through that. What was your experience like?
Well, thank you very much, Solomon. This is a very good and timely conversation to talk about what's happening in the civil society organization space. Having been in that space for now 20 years, I know the ups and the downs of every situation, running all the way back from 2008 when there was an economic, downturn. It was the worst time because people are seeing today. Nobody remembers what happened in 2008. 2008 was worse than now because there was a total economic, macro global economic downturn where majority, I think that's the time when FIDA, was going through the turmoil of funding. And in fact, for me, what drove me to develop Capital Solutions where we are was from 2008 because I registered it then. It was part of my MBA thesis. I was a finance manager in an NGO and there was a lot of situations going on. And for me, every day the question I was asking the ED and the leadership, why are we like this? Can't we do something about it? And so when I did my MBA thesis, actually I did it on FIDA because I wanted to know what's happening to FIDA, which has been a mighty NGO and something's not adding up. So when I went in, what I discovered were a lot of things. It's not only money, it's a lot of things added together for civil society organizations. Because we might be thinking it's only the civil society organization, but also if you're in the private sector as a medium company or medium company and you have one big client, you're facing the same situation. Because that one big client, the moment they walk away, you'll face the same. So to me, I learned it's not only the money that comes from a particular donor, it is the whole sum of everything that you put together that will keep your organization resilient, even when you're going through a situation. So over time, that's what I've learned. And because I went through it twice, and when I was on top and even when I was in the middle, I know the pain, the sleepless nights. I know everything that comes along with it. So because I went through in a night when I lost a $10 million,
Oh my God.
$10 million over an email, I think as a leader, as a managing director, you would literally say, am I going to sleep? Yes, you do. I slept and the question to myself was that, okay, well, how are we going to pull through this? Because I realized that we had put systems, governance, leadership, everything I learned from the NGO that went through a turmoil was because we had built a system that was stronger. That's the only way we managed. So when you're building an institution that is an NGO that has a social component, what is important is everything around it. When I look at the African Institute for Investigative Journalism, I'm looking at what you put together. But if those are your programs, what are underneath? What don't we see under the iceberg? Because what people don't see under the iceberg is what keeps the roots that keep the NGO going. What happened when we lost the $10 million? Did we close? No, we didn't close. Why? The business model, and what I'm spending time doing right now is the business modeling. The business modeling is where the game is. Because one, as a company which is helping social, you must have grants. You can't run away from that. But grants per se cannot sustain you. What did I do? A was number one, to take a reflection as a leader. Because you must keep afloat or else you will die with the organization. Number one, you must take care of Solomon right now because everything can wait. If Solomon is not stable, then the organization is going to be unstable as well. So you're going to focus on Solomon and take time to think.
And that's important.
Take time to think. Yesterday I met a CEO who was breaking down. I just told her, you know what, lady, close shop. We need you here. Just take 3 weeks or 1 month and take time to think. So we went through a process of modeling. She needs to keep afloat. She cannot thank me more. She just said, I can now see where I'm going. Because you need to stop and come up with a new business case. Because what you're doing is business, in quotes. We are helping good to make people good, but we need to set up systems, a replica of what's happening in the private sector.
Very important. Those systems are very important. Jackie, most of the NGOs or civil society runs on the grants model.
Yeah.
And the ability to shock absorb that shock when the grants are gone is difficult because you're thinking, I have to pay staff, I have to pay rent, I have running costs. How do you even navigate through this period when this grant is gone, it has been supporting, you're stressed out, the people who you believe in, your staff, core staff that you've built over the last 10 years, they understand how the organization runs, And then boom, you're the CEO, there is no money to pay them salaries, the rent is coming, you have to keep doing the work you're doing. It can take a toll on you. How do you handle such a time?
So I think two things, Solomon. Like Joyce has said, take care of yourself. And that's why I shared that we did a retreat for CEOs. Why? Because we know that all eyes are on this one person to solution for everybody. And that can be, and even from your board, they're also looking at you like, I think we're helping you govern. What's up? Yeah. So absolutely take care of yourself. Have a circle of people that is also holding you up. But two, I think the other thing is building transparency, not shying away. I think sometimes because you don't want to share all these problems, you're trying to manage back end. Sometimes we don't share enough with our staff, not to scare them, but to share reality that this is where we are going or not going, and this is what might be in the horizon for us. I remember, and my colleague is here, not on set, but she will remember this about 2 years ago, one of the Christmases. So as CivSource, we always have a quarterly retreat. And at one of those quarter retreats, I had a question time with the CEO. And we had moved from a big, spacious place. And we suddenly, because of the crunch, and we could feel it coming, we said we need to pack out of here and go to a place that we can, fit the cloth according to the coat, the coat according to the cloth. And so we had moved, and we were starting to also downsize and cut on many things, which you have to do because you can't live as large. And that's where sometimes, unfortunately, people fall through the hole. You want to still live as large, do as big as programs as you used to, yet you know that you can't. And so one, being truthful to yourself, being truthful to the team. So having that space and moment where they can ask, they can voice their fears, they can ask you the questions, where are we actually going? And I thought that was good because then I was also able to share that I may not have the answers now, but do we trust each other enough to hold down the boat? I remember that I led UONET at a time when there was a financial crunch. Having to have that conversation with your staff, and because when you tell Solomon, he has a family, he has many other, I think one to every one working African has about, and this is an approximation, 9 dependents. So you know that when you have that conversation with Solomon, you're seeing the 9 people behind him or behind Joyce who she also has to tell or who will be impacted because you've had this conversation about, these are the times. What I was absolutely amazed and grateful for, and of course the ones that will have to leave, I understand. So even having that expansive space for some will have to leave, we'll have to reorganize how we do our programs, but some will stay. Some will stay, and I will never forget the ones that stayed and said, it's okay, we understand, we used to have, now we are in a season of not as much, we will stay. When we get it, we know you haven't stolen it, we've managed as well as we can. So building the systems of transparency in the way that you manage the finances, but also in the way that you share with the staff and how you have that conversation. If you can't, call people to come and help you. But another thing, finally, that I also credit Joyce for having done with us. One of the times, and I don't know, Joyce, if you remember that very, very first conversation that you had when we were at Plot 18, and you had a balloon and that pin, and she said, CivSource, this is you right now. The balloon being, you think you're big, you think you have it all, and the pin being this one thing that can poke this and it all bursts at once. And so I think we need people that are always bringing that reality to us again and again. And sometimes it can be slow in the uptake. Maybe I didn't get it then. Maybe we didn't get it then, but someone will surely hear and keep asking you, but remember they told us, remember they told us. And that image for me has always been powerful to carry in my mind. So systems of transparency, work with people who are able to challenge your thinking and honor those that stay with you, because some do, but also honor the ones that leave, because like I said, you understand why they would.
That's a powerful thing. There are those that stay with you, say, we will go through this together, we will get there. But Joyce, during that time of holding things together, clearly the people who turn up, like Jackie said, they are true to their work. They will come to office every day. They drive their fuel. But at the end of the day, like Jackie said, there are 9 dependents behind them. And so you're under pressure as the CEO, as the AD, to at least pay them a salary. And that means, but you've been depending on the grants model. That has been all you're just thinking of writing grants. So in the process of writing grants, and you know the process of grant writing, to get a grant in, it takes time.
It does.
You write, sometimes you write
You
10.
and wait.
And sometimes you write 10 and none comes through. It also comes with its own challenges. Joyce, at that time, you need to, I have to pay at least half of their salary. Maybe I go and do personal consultancies and get money in, or I go and get a loan that can keep me for the next 3-4 months. At that time as a CEO, you're looking everywhere to at least support the people who come up. And that brings me to my next question, Joyce. Alternative funding. What do we do now that we are this balloon? We used to be this balloon, living large, and then, like Jackie said, something just pierces and we are this state. What can we do different?
And you're lucky if it does. Sometimes it's just pop and
free fall.
But Solomon, before I jump into the alternatives, when Jackie was sharing, I kept reflecting on some of these practical scenarios. Something we went through last year. You see, as a CEO, you fall in love with everybody, the staff. You become like their mother, their father. You literally don't want to lose anybody. So you have this anticipation. You've been talking well to a certain partner who has promised to give you a project of 6 months or 1 year. And the conversations go on. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, people keep coming and they all look up to you. You're saying the good things they used to hear because they're coming from a large space. Now you're moving to a small space and the cheese has moved and nobody accepts that the cheese has moved. Now it's the onus is on you, the CEO, to actually break it down properly, thoroughly, that the cheese is moving and has moved. And you must be financially astute to see this coming without lying to yourself. Meaning that the finance person and yourself literally have to talk every day and look at the scenarios.
Yeah.
The best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and the good scenario. Now, once you go through the scenarios, the best being that everybody stays, and we anticipate that whatever we are doing might give us money. And then the worst is that supposing we remain 3 people to co-create this, what happens? And the best, So once you get the scenarios, you're going to have communicate. Yes. Meaning that people don't see anything behind your back. They just see openness. Because this is the situation we have, guys, and what I anticipate, maybe in 3 months we might come back, but I'm not so sure. So the worst case scenario is, scenario 1, we are going to remain 4 people that we are selecting like this. Of course, people's hearts will be in the bum at that time. Or we are going to agree, we cut our salaries by 50% for purposes of rebuilding back, and all of us can sustain so that you don't stay home to be miserable. Come, we work together at 50% or 40 or whatever. So you talk through the scenarios and assuming people will understand, definitely trust me, 50% of the people's eyes would have closed by that time. But you're communicating, at least you've communicated. Once you finish the group communication, because it's exactly what I did some point last year, have one-on-one. From the top to the cleaner, one-on-one. Solomon, this is the situation we are in. I am proposing for us to remain in this organization of the good work. How much do you love your work? They will definitely say, I do love my work. I'm proposing we are going to reduce our salaries by 50%. How do you see that? Some will say, let me think about it. Another one will say, all right, no problem. I had a good number. I said, no problem. But others said no problem. When they walked out, the problem became a problem. So I finished that. They said, yes, yes, yes. So after 2 weeks, we go into a formalization of an email. Dear Solomon, thanks for the communication and for loving the work we do here. And as agreed, we are going to revise our contracts for the next 6 months as we rebuild to this percentage. Okay? And the person, please confirm that you are in the same agreement, because you have to formalize. And then they write back. And then you say, we're taking a lot of tea, milk, what. We're also going to change that. We are going to just take water and black tea if it's there. So you start communicating the scenarios of survival practically. And once that is done, you say, even with the 50% now, you're free. We are going to work offline as much as we can, and maybe once in a while we come and convene, but we are going to be following our daily routines to make sure that we deliver on work. So we did that. And after 1 month, the person I felt, the finance person, disappointed me with the face changing, like, really? And yet we broke it down together. So be careful with people. The person for the 2 months, she was the most annoyed person, but not leaving, because nobody left in that scenario. But she was, I think in her heart, like, really, why? Why are we here? We could, I even took a loan. As a CEO, you go forward and take a loan to keep the scenario going, because I saw money was smelling, coming, but you were not touching it. But our business model is totally different. So the money was coming, it was just like a snail. So guess what? After 3 months, things went back to life, bubbling. Even the salaries were increased from the regionals where they had. I could see this person who has the biggest smile right now, I swear is the finance person. So one time I called her and said, hello, how come you did this and now you are like, she said, no, I doubted, and I also have the relative she was talking about. I said, but sometimes when we talk as leaders, accept. Because we lead from the front, and monkeys see, monkeys do. The moment you face frowns, what do you expect of the juniors? So I went through that. I am happy that we took that step in terms of a scenario building. Yes, people learned from it. I can tell you today, when we set targets, everybody's on a run to hit their numbers. We've surpassed for the last 8 months, surplus profit, because it's a joint effort, and we learned from that experience. So you learn, you practically do things and say, I am not going to die in this movie. So the company has paid me back fully what I owed, because when you lend, you don't give. You're doing business. You don't give the company, you loan the company. So people, they enter in the books of accounts as you've loaned the good work. So when the money starts coming in, you're paid back. So even you, the CEO, you're covered. So that scenario for me has worked. I can repeat it anytime because I've practically done it, and the team has learned, and the communication has worked. So that is one scenario I have used practically. So in terms of what do we do of different scenarios, that is one. But when you're building a business model from onset, you cannot build a civil society organization depending on donors. Because I've just studied so much about the donor, the foundations, etc. They are also doing private business. And not the leftover, but part of the private business profits is what they give us.
Granting. Yeah.
They're granting. So meaning that they know how to make money and they don't dry out. So we need to learn the same. Because whatever we are doing is good, but it can make us be well. So what we do, one, you factor in a business model where somebody is willing to pay for your services. They may not be too many at the beginning, but they can be many. And these business products and services grow over time. You practice one, it may not bring in much. You'll be amazed the one you never saw coming can bring in money. Yesterday, the lady I was meeting for that company, I will not say the NGO, I was saying, but what I told you, do you do it? She said, yes. And actually, that product has brought me 110 million. I told her, if one company can pay you 110 million for that product you developed from your own NGO work, supposing you scaled it, can you take a break and scale that same product to 10 other NGO, 10 other corporations? You'll get what? 10 million, 100 million times 10, that will be 1 billion. Do you see how much good work you're going to do because of that one product? And I told her, the point here is that, can we think as business? Gone are the days when NGOs, with the good work we're doing, we are going to behave the same way. Things have changed. So you build a business model, it will start one. Charge, try and say, Jackie, I can't do this. Are you willing to pay me this? She might say, I'll give you 50 I will give you $5,000. You wanted $15,000 because you're coming from a point of abundance. Now you're coming to a point where the things are real practical. She gives you $5,000. Do it so well, so well that she'll give you a referral and somebody else. So you've started on creating your own resilience, your own money. As you chase for the grant, which will take 6 months, you will now have an invoice coming in. The language we are going to talk about is invoice. Everybody is willing to pay for something for somewhere. That is one scenario. We can now try what they call local fundraising. There are stars on that. There are people who are willing to fund and support an idea without expecting you to pay me back. That is the case I used for my social investment fund. Because I had $60, I had a dream, I wanted it to move. I wanted a microfinance for social entrepreneurs. And when I spoke, Jackie, hi, my friend, I pitched. We call it pitching. I pitched, and she said, Joyce, I love what you're doing, but I'll give you 500,000. Isn't that money? I did that to about 20 colleagues. I was able to collect about 30 million in a period of 2 months. And guard that money like jealously. You guard it jealously because somebody has given it to you, they don't expect a return. What I do, I give them impact certificates because you also need to learn to thank people. So I gave somebody an impact certificate. I saw her posting it on LinkedIn. To her, it meant a lot with the 1 million she gave me. She didn't expect anything back, but the paper I gave her meant a lot. And I got capital in. So you start thinking of different scenarios. And that's why when we sit with NGOs, we try to understand what exactly are you doing in the society. In there is business. If you look at all these businesses that are prominent in the world, they are all solving a solution. They're all solving a problem in the community. And that's where business starts from. So once we trigger our mindset, we are going to get a lot of solutions.
Wow. Just wow. Speaking of capital, Jackie, many, again, this is really great. You know, you've been running an NGO largely based on donor funding. When you want to go into a business like what Joyce is saying, you're thinking, I need capital to invest. I need to look for money. Either I'll go to the bank and get a loan or start doing crowdsourcing, what Joyce did, or, you know, somewhere I need to get money to invest. You know, to invest, I have to get money. But Jackie, many of the donors have been largely, and I've faced this so many times, they're so much into project funding rather than institutional funding. They will give you money and they say 80% of this money is going into project and only 20% is going into the organization. And you then think, can I use the 20% which is into management fee to sort of, basically there's a lot going into your mind. And I know that at Safe South Africa, you guys have come up with something, the resilient fund model. Tell us about that and how it has helped you go through these tough times. And yeah, would love to hear it.
So the journey to the Resilience Fund, again, for me, begins long ago when Joyce spoke to us. So the question I ask leaders is, who is speaking to you and into you? Who is giving you wisdom? And you may not turn immediately, but you need those people who will drop the seeds that will help you think differently. So when the Resilience Fund opportunity came around, because we had worked, like I said, CivSource serves with and serves civil society. So we had seen this. I mean, the many years that I've been in civil society, we had seen it, that unfortunately our model of managing money was burn rate. That those, in fact, who were rewarded with more were those who could finish it to zero. So the mentality to come from that of finishing to zero to trying to even find 1 shilling to save is a whole leap. So we said, with the resilience, good, I think it was even godsend that that's what it was even called, weaving resilience. We said the way we are going to enable our partners think different is to give them resilience grants that help them build themselves. A lot of the money we get through grants is we are helping to build the community that we serve, as we should, because that is why we are set up. But then, just like the leader that forgets themselves, you serve and serve and serve. And who do you forget
Yourself.
to build? In the same way, organizations served, and who did they forget? This thing that is driving this machinery. So the resilience grant is saying, take care of you as well. Because when you do, this work can continue. We also knew that just giving a grant is not in itself helpful. We need to fortify that with a mindset change. So before you get the resilience grant, you go through a 3-day boot camp where we call Joyce and several other financial gurus who have built businesses or who know money, understand money in a different way than the non-profit model. And so with our partners, they help them think a different way about money. Because anyway, this is going to be a seed to help you think about and build yourself. And after the 3-day boot camp, we then attach a coach.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep asking, leader, who is speaking into your life? Who is walking this journey with you? Because you might try, but you also know your blind spots. You know that this might not be my area of strength. So we have financial coaches, Joyce being one of them, and then sit one-on-one, because also, Solomon, each organization is very different. We see you on the outside, we see your logo and your work, but we don't know how Solomon runs his business. We don't know if he has the systems that are running well. We don't know what his governance like. We don't know what we might find when he explains what they do, and like that there is a thing that you can turn into a service. So that's what the financial coaches do. Listen to your organization's story and what it's trying to do, and then help you pick out possible investment scenarios. Because the issue with the Resilient Grant is go and build it. Go and build it. In fact, if you return it as we give it to you, then woe upon you. Go and build. This is yours to build. So we've had those. And we also then have annually a gathering of all of them, because we also believe that it is in community that Solomon may say something, or Jack's on the other side, or Stella, someone will drop a thing that I've been. So that building that community continuously. And we've also learned, because we didn't just arrive into this mindset, it has been built over time. So we might not expect people to turn overnight. Some do, but others, it is slow but sure. So even the resilience grants, as we've been learning, is that we need patient money. Mm-hmm. Now, not all of us will get a resilient grant. Not all of us will access patient money. And by patient money, I'm saying the kind that we tried this service, it failed. Can we get a bit more money to try another service? It might go well. So back end, we are also having conversations with donors to say, can we start to think differently? Yes, you've asked us the sustainability question for all our lives. It's a question we wanted to dodge, have always dodged, or been angry that you ask us, right? But now that we are hearing it different, can you also journey with us different? Some will change, others will say, and especially if you're getting money from bilaterals, because government money is managed totally different and accounted for totally different than private foundation money. So even you as an entity, you must know which money am I able to leverage, which donor can I have a conversation with to allow me walk a sustainability journey, and which money I can't, because I also understand if it were government of Uganda giving money, they would also require that I account up to zero, right? So it's also understanding what is in my portfolio and how can I speak. Yes, as back-end Civ Source, we will try and speak with as many as we can, but there are so many that we could never speak to all of them. But that donor advocacy is also very, very important. So
and Jackie, I can't agree more with you. Donors need to have a shift in mindset.
As well, absolutely.
But you see, sometimes when you're into this space with the donors, you're feeling, okay, I just have to play by their rules. You come to that space, and many of us, when you're on this table, negotiating table, you feel you're the weaker one, because the other person has the money, and therefore they can dictate to you
terms.
So you speaking, saying, look, I need you to allocate at least $50,000 or $20,000 to keep the organization running. Many of us, and maybe Jackie, that's important, and I'm really glad that you are starting this conversation of when you're with a donor, you can actually negotiate something. You're not always on the lower side. And I know, Joyce, you've been in that state where you're in this room with donors, and most of the times you have, you want the money, you're a bit vulnerable, you need it, so you want to play by the rules, and therefore even when you want to push out, like, can you allocate 50,000 into the resilience fund that is going to help us? I mean, most of them even want project funding, rather than institutional funding. Jackie, what has been the reception of your advocacy with the donors?
And so that is why part of the reason we even set up Civ Fund was to say, you donors, you say many things about the way civil society can or should be funded. We want to set up an institution where we're going to show, this will be our show and tell. Remember, we used to have Shimoni demonstration, and I don't know, we are the demonstration to say, you claim this, but we are showing you that when you fund resilience, this is what you get. So we also walk into the room with that model to say, we've done it, and this is how we are supporting to build resilience. So you too, if you wanted to, you can. Like I said, some will buy it, some may not, but at least we have something to show in the room that it is possible. And I think just finally, that's why I said that even community is absolutely important, because maybe we shouldn't even be walking in this room alone as CivSource. We should be walking together with civil society to say, and we have said it a long time, the civil society has also been telling donors, guys, we need institutional funding. Haven't we said that for many, many years, right? But it's only now, after how many decades, Solomon, that some are starting to listen. And many of the conversations I've been having, and it's, whether it's at East Africa philanthropy level, African Philanthropy Network, global conversations on philanthropy, it is shifting. That's where the shift the power conversation is coming in. Fund those that are closest to the problem, but fund them differently. I love the tagline of the Black Feminist Fund. Fund movements like you want them to win. And what does winning look like? Long-term funding, institutional funding. So it is there. We're not the only ones speaking. There are many civil society organizations pushing back against donors to say, fund differently. But as they fund differently, also what are you doing to earn differently, so that the circle is complete?
Thank you. And differently. Joyce, this is where you come in. Looking at investment, social entrepreneurship. And there are organizations that have done that model, and they remained afloat during this period. Talk to us about, because, we always have this mindset, we're doing it for community, we are doing it for community. I mean, for example, here at the Institute, we do a lot of training and capacity building. We go around the country and Africa training people, but you can only do it with donor funding, right? So when there's no donor funding, the training and capacity building program is dead. And from what you were saying earlier is that you can turn out that training and capacity building program and people can still pay for it. Product development, going out with a different view. We would love to hear you more about that, because that's what you've been coaching people. That's what you did that got you out. You're not talking about it, but you did it and it worked. Tell us more about it.
Thank you very much, Solomon. I think this conversation continues to be exciting to my ears, and I believe many people will benefit from this. We have seen many development partners coming aboard. The journey is now. Even as we do the social entrepreneurship capacity building, the social business accelerator program that we are running, we are seeing many partners coming aboard. Because why? Coaching, mentorship, incubation, getting that business idea from your head so that the institute can run it as a business model takes time. That's why you need to reflect. You just can't wake up now and say, oh, here we are running. No, there are many other institutions. What makes yours unique? What is the niche behind your institute that any other partner, not an individual per se, you might have individuals to pay, but they're not easy forthcoming, but how can you get other partners aligned to pay for certain cohorts of what you're planning to train on in Uganda for youth? So you kind of package package cohorts, and you're getting people to pay for those cohorts. And you'll be amazed that some of those will turn out to be short-term projects as you were actually running the other programs. So they're going to be short-term projects. You deliver, clean out, have the impact in numbers. Now, what is going to happen is for you to learn to report the impact in numbers that you've been doing. Same way as M&E, but this time around is more as impact investment. So as you continue to do this, one, you need to get time to dialogue with your team. What you have been doing is actually very good. How come? Because actually we are saying it used to be a grant. No, that grant was just making you get all the costs picked 100%. But somebody was paying because they saw the good work in you. So they decided to pay 100% of everything, but the mindset remained, they've given us a grant. So going forward, every civil society organization will start thinking, if somebody is going to give me a project, they've actually bought your time to deliver and meet that impact. So turn it around and say, okay, for 1 year, somebody has paid me to deliver what I love to do and also achieve their impact. So that is also payment coming in. So you package it that way. Then you get the same, clean it up as a business model. It could even be a franchise. You can do it the same thing. You can do it in South Africa. Somebody pays you $10,000. You do the same in Nigeria. They pay you $10,000. So your business model now changes. You were lucky that as you started, because when we do this incubation, the good thing is that somebody has to give you seed capital. Your seed capital was grant.
Wow.
Because somebody believed.
Say that again. That's very important.
Your seed capital was a grant because somebody believed that whatever you're doing at the institute was such a good thing to do in the community. So they were willing to give you seed capital where they never expected any interest on it or payback. That's what we call blended finance. Your blended finance comes in as seed capital, which is purely grant. I don't expect anything. I want to support your vision, your idea. Go and do the best. And then somebody will give you...
that money will help you do mistakes as you're growing and mess up and pick up and grow through it.
Yeah. You were so lucky. Some person, your mother, your father who picked you to give you that grant, pushed you to where you are. Right now, Solomon, I don't know, are you 5 years or 6 years into it? Yes. You cannot cry because the mother has left you at a time when you're a baby who is off the ground, you're walking. Now it's time for you to start saying, where am I seeing with this beautiful work I've done? Who else can I grab? You might get somebody else to pick you from there, from your nascent stage to the next level, either through another grant or through blended capital, which can be, don't give me any interest on it, but please go and do good for 10 years. As you shape your program, you're learning, you're going to get in people to design all these as products that people are willing to pay for. Somebody will come in and say, I want your legal support work, and they will pay you for that. But somebody has given you that capital to kick and move. So it's going to be just a different model because we are lucky as civil society. Somebody gave us seed capital, which they never expected back. So you can't cry anymore. We're just going to move and soar as long as the leadership is together, the board is straight thinker, and the team behind you. The rest will be history.
And it goes to product development and changing the mindset. This is now a business. I'm running it like a business. And that means I have to improve my product better because it has to compete with other businesses and give value so that I can get return on investment.
My journey was $10,000. Every time I think about it, I always big up to that grant donor because I looked at it as a seed capital, trust me. My journey was a project. I never looked back. It's the one which shaped the projects and the product and the service. The rest is history. How many people have got $10,000 and they put it to waste? People have got even $1 million. They have nothing to show for it. Yeah. What are you telling us?
Jackie, what do you want us to do?
So, beginning there, I was going to say nomenclature, language, lexicon is very, very important. What you call yourself now must be different. I think it was at the Philanthropy Week, during the Philanthropy Week, when Leonard Okello from the Uhuru Institute was talking to us about cooperatives and the amount of money we could have made as civil society now if we had believed in and invested in the civil society cooperative called Nafasi. He did that, he numbered the numbers for us, and he said the reason why we even came together then was because we were trying to think differently, that one day we'd have to step into that gap. But now we can't because anyway. But he said that part of our problem has also been the way we name ourselves. When you're non-something, what are you, right? So we've stuck onto this name of non-profit that it has closed our eyes and minds to the profit possibility, still for good. So it is even calling yourself a new thing for those that are born again, right? He gives us a new identity, because then you start to see yourself as and behave as this new thing. So part of it will be, what is the language that I need to change? How do I see myself now as a social investment organization, SIO? And what do I do in this social investment organization? I ask people to invest. I don't look for donors. No. I look for co-investors, right? So even the way I scrutinize my budget will have to change, right? Even the way I talk to my team will have to change. Even the way I don't want us to underestimate the fact that the mind to change requires seeing our new identity, social impact for social good, but with a business mindset. It is a journey, and that's why we said we even pair people with coaches. But if you can't afford a coach even after the program is done, you have a community. And what is that thing that for those of us who believe in affirmations, what is that? How, if you have to repeat that thing in your mind until you believe it, because until you believe it, your behavior won't change. Mm-hmm. So it is again and again and again. How many times have we done these boot camps? It is now that I'm thinking, so I know and I understand, and I'm speaking to the fellow leaders who I know for some it will take time for us to wake up, but let us try. And part of it begins with changing the language in which you are dealing, because then language unlocks opportunity. Language unlocks opportunity. Language unlocks networks. Language unlocks a different way of doing things.
Jackie, what you're saying is that we need to now run these nonprofits as businesses and start to think differently.
It's possible, Solomon. Does it look, and to borrow Nelson Mandela's words, it looks impossible until it's done. Mm. So again, I know there are leaders out there thinking, wow, could never, but until it's done. So until we take that first step, and what is that small first step? And me, I'm offering just changing what you call yourself.
Jackie, thank you. Where do we go from here, Joyce?
Step one, I think the leaders in the civil society organization have to move their mindset from a fixed mindset of burn rate, to a growth mindset, where it is possible, where we are now in this as business. Already, the NGO Act has provided for it. It was Section 46, subsection 1. Now it is Section 42 in the revised NGO Act. It encourages NGOs to do business or to do business activities as long as you're going to plow back and do the good work. It's already, the environment is enabling. So it's only the mindset that needs to shift, that this cheese for grants has dwindled. It is small, we can't all feed on it. What are the alternatives? Their partners like GIZ have sponsored, so far we've dealt with 25 NGOs, sponsored by them for a whole year to incubate, to design, and get on the runway. Some NGOs have put up factories, unbelievable, beautiful ideas from what they were doing as program work. And they're manufacturing and they're selling on the market. Now it's the mindset that needs to shift from being fixed in a grant to now growth. We are ready to do business. If you look at Built to Last, all the companies that were put in that research, all of them were literally doing impact business, because it's the only way you're going to sustain, whereby the head and the heart are working together. As simple as that. Because the moment we shift, if we've done it, we are ladies, we've done it, we've practiced the business model, and it is working. So we are speaking from experience.
Yeah.
We are speaking that it can work. It's just the mindset of saying burn rate. No, we are now talking about the real business and impact so that we can continue unearthing the problems in the society. You can choose out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Each of them is a business arm. And you will literally turn around. And guess what? There are trillions of dollars of people. Now Japan is leading in looking for impact businesses. I was there in May. They are taking the lead. They saw US is sleeping. They're like, no, we are here. Japan is looking for impact business. How many are here that are scalable? I think we just have to get time to think our business models, retrack ourselves, and move to the right boat. If it's education, there's a lot of money. How come private sector is doing a lot of business? And you're here doing advocacy in education. How can you think deeper and get business out of it?
Ladies, I wish I would have more of these conversations. I want to invite you back because it's very important that we keep these conversations going. Wow. Joyce, Tamale, thank you very much.
Thank you
Jackie
very much,
Asima,
Solomon,
thank you
for
very
having
much.
us.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate
I will need you guys to come back. Thank you. Ladies, thank you. Well, I don't know. I wish we had more time. I wish we could tape another episode, but I hope you've learned something. If you're a CEO out there, if you're an executive director of any organization, don't give up. Don't give up. Like many people have closed, right? Their organizations that used to be so vibrant, they're not here anymore. Like they closed, and you're thinking, where did this organization go? They used to do amazing work, maybe because of funding, maybe they lost hope, maybe some of them closed the organizations, went back into employment. CEOs, founders go through a tough time, but sometimes it is such a time as this that you have these women speak into us. Jackie says, who is speaking into you, leader? And I keep that with me. Who is speaking to you as a leader, as a CEO, as an executive director, that things can be changed when you change the way you're thinking? I'm Solomon Serwanja. It's been an honor hosting you. And this is The Hard Questions.